This is a new cover for the book. You can find it, should be upstairs. What you have here are the main hieroglyphic text of the system. This is the Hekau, words of power, similar to what the Hindus call mantras, or I'm sure you heard of that terminology because it's very popular. These are the words that are to be repeated in order to make the teaching of the glorious light meditation effective. Essentially, the scripture says that before the practice is to be enjoined, the myth is to be told. And you just heard the myth. So now, and also you receive some philosophy along with that, some mystical philosophy along with that. Once you receive that, then you're prepared, or you're more equipped to go ahead and practice the teaching. So it's not just you go and say some words and you don't know what it means or what it's all about. You're supposed to understand it so you can have the meaning. And the myth gives you the feeling. So you can have understanding and feeling to go along with your practice, to give your practice power in order to go forward and be effective. The purpose of meditation is to allow you to discover the hidden recesses of your own personality. That is the purpose. The goal, of course, is to discover your higher consciousness, your higher essence of who you are essentially. And remember what we said earlier, that how you're manifesting now, that is the what you are. And everybody has a different what. But everyone has the same higher who. And that is the spirit of who you are essentially. As Josh said earlier, the practice or the codification of the teaching of the glorious light meditation occurs at around 1350 BCE. And this is earlier than any other formal meditation system that occurs in our current human history. To give you an idea, Buddhist meditation was created at around 500 BC. The meditation system of the Upanishads, 800 BC. Taoism, back to 500 BC. The meditation system of yoga, 200 BC. Sage Patanjali. So at least 5 to 6, 7, 800 years before the codification of meditation systems in other parts of the world, we find the first occurring in ancient Egypt. And what we mean by formal meditation is that you have a specific instruction of posture, specific instruction of words of power, the specific instruction of visualization, and there can be other aspects, but those are the fundamental aspects of a meditation, formal meditation practice. There's informal and formal. We're talking about the formal. And usually when you think of meditation, you think of Buddhists or yogis sitting somewhere in a cross-legged posture, right? You don't think of Africans sitting in a cross-legged posture, sitting, closing their eyes, uttering chants, and meditating, do you? Do you? Your first thought is not that. You think, maybe the Chinese. Maybe the Chinese are doing some meditation, or maybe they're Japanese, but not Africans. So the Glorious Light meditation system gives us the posture. It tells us that the body is to make a stand with the body, meaning you are to be planted firmly on the symbol of a sun disk. And the sun disk is the circle of Ra, which is the large circle with the dot in the middle. The words of power, you are to utter Nuk Hekau, Nuk Ra'aku, Nuk Bara, Nuk Hekau. Nuk means I am. Hekau means the word. Nuk again means I am, and then Ra is the divine, the glorious, and the spirit, and Ak means the spirit of that divine. And Nuk Bara, also I am the soul of that same divine, Ra. Nukheka. I am the God who creates. I am the God who is the sound itself. Visualization, the scripture tells us that you should see or visualize yourself as your personality, your body, as being like Ra's on the day of his birth. The day of Ra's birth is the day of the original creation. You can think of it as the daily creation, but if we're going to go to the source, we could think of the birth of Ra, or the day of Ra's birth, as the first time that he differentiated himself into the forms of creation. Remember that, those of you who were here for the earlier lecture? We saw how Ra turned himself into Khepri, the creator, and how he turned the Nun, the primeval waters, into the forms of creation. But before he turned the Nun into the forms, what was he before that? He was formless. He was timeless. He didn't come into the world and in the forms that deteriorate over time. Think about it. Everything that exists in physical form deteriorates over time. You can build whatever you want to build. Even rocks deteriorate over time. And in the end, the universe is going to dissolve. That's what the scientists tell us also. So what we're talking about is that we have to visualize, ultimately, going to the ultimate sense of what is being given here, visualize ourselves as Ra on the day of the birth, which means as that point before, just before Ra comes into existence as the forms of creation that we see today, as the nine divinities, as the cosmic forces that go to create the elements of creation, and so on and so forth. Geb, the earth, Nut, the sky, Tefnut, the waters, so on and so forth. These are just examples of the new covers so you can recognize them. This is the main book on meditation. This particular book, Meditation, the Ancient Egyptian Path to Enlightenment. Here you have the hieroglyphic text again. This one discusses pretty much all of the meditation systems of ancient Kemet. The Glorious Light is one of them. It's one of the main ones that we teach. There's also the Serpent Power Meditation. There's also the Nukpu Meditation from the Pertem Haru text, the Book of the Dead. There is the devotional practice meditation. There is also the wisdom path of meditation, the Rek Ua meditation. That's from the Temple of Aset. So there are about 5 systems of meditation that can be practiced. The Glorious Light is one of the main ones and incorporates actually several elements from the others. And we use it also because this is one of the main, well, probably the most codified. There's evidence of the other practices earlier, but this one is like codified into a full system that we can disseminate and we can show very easily and show the hieroglyphic text for it and so on. This is the tomb of Seti Ua. This is him right here. He's speaking with Asar. And this is the tomb where the Glorious Light meditation is inscribed. And you can go, if they will let you get in, you can go to the Valley of the Kings and inspect it for yourself. But nevertheless, you can get books with the pictures in them, and you can get our book that has it in it also. This scripture we went through before, so I'm not going to go through it right now exactly because of time issues. In any case, as we said before, the scripture says that one should visualize oneself as being planted, sitting, standing in the middle of the circle of Ra. The circle has many important implications. It relates to the concept of immortality, especially the sun disk of Ra. It relates to the fire of spirit. It relates to immortality and the infinity, the circle that has no end. The dot in the middle of the circle represents the source of all creation. And everything that is encompassed by the circle is in the same creation. Also, the dot in the what is called Ben in the Kemetic Tree of Life system, in the Anunian theology. The Ben, or what the Hindus call Bindu, is the dot where the divine, shall we say, as if touches the primeval waters, and that is the place where creation spreads out from there. In a sense, that is a way to understand it as well. So that is the source point. That is like the black dot from which everything emanates. So the Glorious Light meditation system gives us a particular posture that we should be in, a visualization that we should occupy the thought process of the mind with, and a chant in order to do several things. The chant takes it allows us to change the vibrations of the personality and to bring them to a certain order. It also relates us to a spiritual. It relates us to the spiritual visualization as well as to the ideal of the spiritual philosophy. And the chant also can be used as a way of controlling the mind through the use of volume and or frequency. If your mind is more agitated, you can use higher frequency and higher volume. If your mind is less agitated, you can use less frequency, less volume. Or you can use a combination of the two. You know, your mind is racing and you're thinking about many things. You can do the chant and do the chant quickly and loudly, and so you can begin to turn the mind away from the disturbing thoughts and to the purpose of the teaching. I just want to talk a little bit here, not too much detail, but I want to talk a little bit about the elements of the personality. In the Kemetic teaching, there are 9 elements of the personality. And beginning from, and these can be summarized, or how shall we say, conglomerated into 3 bodies. And we have a physical body, is the grossest one and the smallest one. Really, it can go either way. The cat can go into the circle here, or the wren can go into the next one. The wren is your name, and the cat is your physical body. And these you can think of as like peels of an onion. These are like sheaths that you have on your soul, shall we say. The encasement of the physical aspect of yourself. Your name itself relates to your particular individuality, whatever your name is. You're a body. And then there is your ab. The ab is like a container of your thoughts. Second is your power, your vitality. The ka is your mind, the realm of your thought process. Kaibit is a shadow, and Kaibit relates to your higher 3 bodies, the Ba, Sahu, and Ku, or Aku, or Ak. These higher bodies, especially the Ak. The Ak is, and I should also explain that Ra has these same 9 bodies as well, except that Ra's bodies are universal, whereas a human being's bodies are individual. They relate to your individual self. And they are connected to the universal. And if you were to practice meditation and experience the expansion that allows, then you will discover that they are connected to the universal source. Each of these. We discover that the Ren, the name, there is another parable that is, somebody asked about parables before, the story of Aset and Ra. Where and that one is partially published. A lot of these are we have them either on video, we discuss them like this, or on audio. In that particular myth, we are told that Ra's name is actually Illusionary, and Aset tricked him into telling her his real name. But that name was never spoken. She merged herself with Ra in order to discover the real name. The idea here, we can't go into that whole myth because it's a whole big thing. The idea is that the name is illusory. Just as Ra's name, the name Ra, is illusory, because Ra has a transcendental name that is unspeakable, so too you have an unspeakable name as well that you can discover through your spiritual practices. So you call yourself John, you call yourself Mary, or whatever your name is in time and space. You are to realize that that is an illusory name. Then, of course, well, going back to the three, the Ba is the soul. Sahu is a spiritual body, a golden body that you can develop, that you can bolster, so that you can have movement and higher experiences in the transcendental world and the Dua. And that's something else that we haven't discussed much. I was actually going to be writing a book that was going to incorporate the understanding of that issue. Anyway, these higher bodies are closest to the divine spirit, which is expansive and universal and all-pervasive. So your individual personality is composed of these, and yet the spirit is all around and transcending and infinite. And as they are closer, they are more powerful than the smaller, coagulated, and physical aspect of yourself. So your spirit is stronger than your physical aspect, in other words. And the Ak, focusing on the Ak here, the Ak as the shining spirit, is the aspect of yourself that, have you ever wondered why you can close your eyes and you can see your thoughts? What is that illumines your mind so that you can see your thoughts and you can think ideas and so on and so forth? That is the spirit, and spirit that is manifest, spirit of Ra, that is manifesting through your own individual spirit as the Ak. And then it shines through your individuality, your individual soul, and your body, your Sahu body. That shining effect reflects on the Sahu body onto your Kaibit. Your Kaibit is like a... the Kaibit is like an umbrella, a covering. And your spirit this is the Kaibit, this is your umbrella of your personality. Your Ku, your spirit, your Ba, shines on that, and that reflects below into these other lower bodies, into your mind and your power, your physical body. So the body that you think of, like when you have a dream, and you have a body in your dream, right? And you see yourself walking down the street or talking to someone. That body is actually a reflection, a shadow of your higher bodies, that of your shining spirit. And your Ka, this physical body, is actually a further manifestation of the Ka. So this shining spirit reflects through your shadow or through your opaque aspect of your personality into the bodies that you see in the world of time and space. Anybody, do you have that straight so far? Because I don't want to go into a lot of detail in this area too much. But it's something you have to kind of reflect upon. When you die, a person who has not discovered their higher nature, their lower aspects of their body dissolves. These aspects of the body dissolve. Your Ren, your Kat, Sekem, Ka. And then when you go to associate yourself to be reborn again, those are recreated elsewhere in another family, another place, and these begin to reflect again. The impressions of your previous life, what we call Aryu, what the Indians call karma, that leads you further into new experiences, into new desires, and so on, and that leads you to different births, in essence, to reincarnation. What I want to really get at is this Ku and the Ba, because this is what we're really talking about in the Glorious Light Meditation System. These are the important aspects that are being related here. Here are the bodies that I talked about earlier. Your causal body, your astral body, your Ka body, your physical body, your Kat body. And the universal, these are Ra's bodies. Now, this is the hieroglyphic text for the parts of the elements of the personality. The ku, or the ak, the ba, sa, sahu, and this is the kai bit. This is your umbrella. You can see the symbol of it's like a parasol. Then you have your sekhem, which is your vitality. You have your ka, which is your mind, and your ab, which is like your unconscious, like a container of your thoughts and your feelings. Then you have your kat, which is a physical body, and your ren, which is your name. So here is the ku or the ak. This is the one to especially highlight. Probably even more so than the ba. And when we utter the chant of the glorious light, the nuk hekau, nuk ra aku, that's what we're talking about. The ra aku. And then nuk ba ra, that's the ba ra. So then the teaching you're saying that I am the shining spirit of Ra. I am the soul of Ra. So this is an exercise in realizing your essential nature as being one with Ra. Now, in the practice of meditation, I discussed earlier there's an informal practice and there's a formal practice. The informal practice is when you adopt the teaching of the philosophy and you begin to practice it in day-to-day life, when you're going to work, when you're interacting with family members, when you're in general day-to-day living. And the formal practice is when you set your time for a meditation practice, where you're going to sit in a posture and utter the chants, close your eyes, do the visualization, so on and so forth. Both are equally important because if let's say you want to go and sit and practice meditation, but all day long you are running around doing agitating things, yelling at people, you're being upset at work, whatever it is, and then all of a sudden you want to sit down and relax, and you find you can't relax. Your mind is jumping all over the place, and you don't know why it's happening. Well, that's why it's happening. Because you have to practice the informal aspect of the meditation as well as the formal. And it has to be consistent. If you find that at the beginning your mind is agitated, even as you practice, you should continue anyway because you are placing impressions of calm. Even if you sit, if your mind is racing, if you say, I'm going to sit here just for a few minutes a day, eventually the impressions of calm will overtake the impressions of agitation. A lot of people don't have that patience. They say, I can't sit because I'm going to jump. I can't think of everything I have to do. The phone is going to ring. I have to get up. I have to do this. I have to do that. And then they end up turning on television so they can get distracted. You'll always find some people who are dull, some people who are kind of both dull sometimes and lucid sometimes, and some people who are lucid all the time. Like those of you who saw the election, you find that there are conservatives, there are Republicans in the United States, and you probably find that here too. And there are people who kind of go both ways, who see both sides of the issues, and others who are very liberal or righteous, whatever you want to put it on one side. And this triune nature of life, you find it running through the creation. 3 steps in meditation practice: the concentration, meditation, and superconsciousness. Concentration is like the most, I think one of the best examples that are given is like when you have a magnifying glass and the sun is out, which in Canada, I'm not sure when you get your sun out most of the time here. You can get, we got,
days. We appreciate the weather.
but it's a,
Coming from Miami, thank you.
yeah, better do it before it gets more wintry because it's going to be at such an angle they won't be able to get the heat out of it. You try to put a magnifying glass, right? You try to focus it so that you can get it to a focus to you want to burn like a piece of paper, right? The focusing part, that's the concentration part. Once you focus it, then you hold it for a while, and then eventually it heats up enough so that it burns, right? And that's the meditation. So what most people consider meditation is not really meditation. That's you're striving to get to the stage of meditation. Once you start that burning process, then you don't need to hold the magnifying glass anymore, right? It burns on its own. What you're burning here is your ego consciousness of the individuality that is illusory within yourself. That is what you're burning away from your mind. That part that obstructs you from seeing the greatness or the greater aspect of yourself. That is actually what you're burning away. So Mau, Ua, and Si. Si is a kind of spiritual ecstasy that occurs. And there also, beyond that, can occur a swooning or a subsiding of the personality into a religious kind of higher ecstasy where you just kind of dissolve yourself into the primeval ocean itself. You become one with the and you lose yourself. You don't even have you lose consciousness of your own individuality. And so if any of you are worried or afraid or anything like this about this process, you should know that you already do this every day anyway. You just don't realize it. When you go to sleep, you're actually already entering into a kind of altered consciousness, higher consciousness, the Ka level of consciousness, your astral body level. And when you dream, when you're dreaming, when you're not dreaming, what happens is that you are experiencing a vast undifferentiated ocean. The difference with the meditation practice is that when you're doing it in meditation willingly and deliberately, you're doing it consciously and in a wakeful state, so that you're aware of what's going on. When you go to sleep at night, you're going into it in an unconscious way. And so that's why when you go to sleep, you don't become enlightened by that experience. If you were to do that in a conscious way, through the practice of studying the philosophy and meditating and allowing your life to be cleansed and purified through the teaching, that would lead you to a real and abiding attainment of spiritual enlightenment. And that's what we're about. And that would be a positive, whereas the dreaming state would be a negative counterpart to the positive of meditation practice. This here is the Glorious Light meditation mat. And this is what we have created to facilitate the practice of the Glorious Light meditation instructions that are given in the scripture. These, what you see here, are elements of the scripture. These are images of the divinities that are involved in the Glorious Light meditation system: Ra, Heteru, Sekhmet, Lord Jehuti, the god Jehuti. And some of the main words of power: the Hekau, Nuk Hekau, and Nukbara, and Nukra Aku. Can you spread out and show them? Go in the middle there. And so in the practice of the Glorious Light meditation, each practitioner will have their mat to use for the meditation practice. Okay, thank you. Let me go through just finally some of the detail of the. Just leave it here for now. Some of the texts that are on the mat itself. Sma Kemen means smiting ignorance. Nuk Hekau. Nukra Aku. Jehuti holding the right eye of Ra behind him, and behind him is his name in form of crescent moon. That's called Ya. That's the moon. The eye itself is the same eye that you saw him holding, that Jah showed as the baboon. He's holding the eye of Ra, which is actually Het Heru. That's the eye that he has just healed through his spiritual teaching. And this is, of course, the same eye here as well. Aket Manu, the western mountain or the western horizon, the place of final enlightenment. When this would be the front of the mat and is to be placed ideally towards the west. And when you're sitting here, you face this way. Feathers of Mati, the dual goddesses that lead to the path of righteousness. Nukpa Ra, I am the soul of Ra. Goddess Sekhmet, the mistress of life force and destroyer of evil. Behind her is her name in glyphs. This is the name of Sekhmet, that spells out Sekhmet. Nukhekau. And the goddess Het Heru herself. And this is her name here as well. Het Heru means house of Heru. And this means the 3 days of Heru. Protection, wakefulness. Protection comes through wakefulness. Makitu Nehas. The names of one will be eternity and forever. Ren au ke he and jata. Abtet. This is Aket, and this is Abtet. Aket is the place where you go for the final enlightenment, and you go to your final resting place. Aket is the place of the east, the place of reincarnation, where the sun is born, when it comes to life again. Jed Ra Pen Ankh and Kemen Wast. Speaking words these, one lives in Netterkurt, i.e. the cemetery. One does not die, in other words. The Nuk Heka, Nuk Raku, Nuk Barra, Nuk Heka. This is the name Ra. This is the Ra himself, Raharakti. Ab Sefek, Purification 7. And that's the Glorious Light Meditation Mag. You'll notice that there are some lines on each corner of the mat. And on the horizontally as well. All these are pointing towards the center of the mat. And it means that the power of these glyphs that we've discussed all fall to the center of the mat. Any questions?
Just a question. Why is it Ra always depicted with left foot forward?
the left foot is the how shall we say? You know that the body, the human body, is controlled by the either side of the body is controlled by the other side of the brain. Your left side is controlled by your right side. Right side of the body is controlled by the left side. It is thought that through your movement of the left, you are putting forth, first of all, the right brain aspect of yourself, which is the non-logical, the intuitional, that which is peaceful, that which is not trying to do what the left brain does with everything, is to classify everything and to claim individuality on everything. So the right brain this is something that is very interesting that you see in stroke victims. And there was an interesting story that we heard on NPR a few months ago. This lady who had a stroke, and her left side of her brain, I believe, was damaged. Her right side was left, and what happened was very interesting, that she experienced a non-capacity to differentiate between herself and the objects of the world. And so the movement of the left symbolizes the right acknowledgement of that unity and oneness and wholeness. You can take it to all those degrees of explanation. So that was quite amazing seeing her experience, and she gradually regained use of a part of her brain so that she could function again. But that was interesting that she had that experience, and that shows us what the brain is. It shows us that the brain is an instrument of differentiation, but intrinsically, if you were able to, through the practice of meditation, to elevate yourself beyond the mind that uses the brain, you will be able to experience